Thank you very much, Dan. And again, thank you to Johnny McInnes, Coach Hastings, for joining us here on the post-game show as we continue to clue things in on the evening to close out our broadcast. Let's talk about some of the highlights that we promised you during the course of the action. I had all 65 minutes into the books, but we'll go all the way back to the first period and see the Mavericks. There's some scoring opportunity. Here's one that Bluger had, and again, Felix Copley, you cannot say enough about his efforts, as well as Cole Huggins on the weekend, both goaltenders. There's the lone goal that Huggins gave up all weekend, and it's a good play, a clean goal all the way as Shane Hanna comes up with the goal there, his 9th goal of the season. That was back early in the first. It was a 1-1 game through the first, and there's a big play as Marganeri gets called the game of misconduct and checking from behind, so his services were gone, but the Mavericks able to skate off that penalty. They would have gone a power play themselves, and here's a big save by Huggins, and that is off the shorthanded rush up by Tanner Carroll. So we're still 1-0, and then here's the save as Leitner has a great look down low, and Copley got the blocker down on that play. Mavericks will get a 5-minute major themselves as A.C. Stepner is gone as he takes a high hit there to the head of Johnny McInnes, who thankfully was okay, but Stepner was gone. So we went to the third period 4-on-4, and then it became a major penalty for MSU. They did not score it, but Gervais made it count as he took a shot in the slot area to tie the game up, his 12th goal of the season. There, another look at it. Flanagan and Grant assisting on the play. That was at 7:09, despite some valiant efforts by the Mavericks, unable to get the go-ahead goal in the contest. So we end up tonight 1-1. Shots on goal, 26 for each team. Mavericks without a power play goal for the team that coming in. That's one of those things on the weekend, and they need to take care of that. They've now gone 3 straight games without generating a power play goal. Again, the Mavericks coming on the weekend with 4th in the country in that. Penalty minutes pretty even across the board there, and the face-offs as well. Our save of the game brought to you by Edward Jones. And Edward Jones, we thank them, but that's going to be another look at that save by Cole Huggins. A rush up the ice by Tanner Carroll. Again, save the game brought to you by Edward Jones. To win in sports, you must focus your strategy as the game changes. The same is true of investments. Your Edward Jones financial advisor can help. Contact Paul Nolet from Mankato today. So the standings as they stand right now, and again, everything in the WCHA is final except for that game yet to start between Alaska and Alaska Anchorage. Mavericks finish in 2nd in the WCHA, and as things stand right now, they would take on Alaska Anchorage, but again, the Seawolves and the Nanooks are set to go, and Alaska Anchorage actually could vault themselves with the win up over Northern Michigan. And I haven't delved, Dan, deep enough into the tiebreakers to know if they tie with Northern Michigan, if there's anything there. So we'll just have to let that go right now. As Dan McCarger has joined me back. You're a little winded on the play. You got back up here. Yes, valiant effort on your part.
I nearly ended up on the ice right near the goal, though, as getting off the ice. So that was a little.
That could have been the save of the game right there. How you saved yourself.
It actually was.
There you take a look at the matchups again right now as they stand. And again, all these games next weekend, with a reminder, they are all at 7:07. So if you're used to a 7:37 face-off in Mankato on Friday nights, it's no longer a Mankato game. It's now a WCHA playoff game, so we'll be on the air. And I don't know, and if they can tell me downstairs, let me know if we're on the air at 6:30 then with our pregame show next Friday night. Hopefully we can get that word in. We are, okay, so if you're going to join us for WCHA playoff action, you got a taste of it this weekend, but it becomes official next weekend. So we're on the air 6:30 next Friday night with the pregame show and then the 7:07 face-off. Right now, MSU again seeded 2nd, probably again either taking on Northern Michigan or Alaska Anchorage. And if we're going to start to focus things on positive, and we need to move on, and obviously we aren't going to be the WCHA champion, but I do like the fact I didn't want to see Bemidji State in the first round. I feel much better either about the Seawolves or Northern Michigan coming into the building.
I agree. I mean, there's just things that Bemidji State does that makes it very difficult to play against. I think the Mavericks are a better matchup for either Alaska Anchorage or Northern Michigan, and it should be a great weekend next weekend. Hopefully we'll have a huge crowd here for both games and get a sweep and head on to the Final 5.
And Dan, I guess the prevailing thought with the tie, we do not know what it did to the Mavericks in terms of pairwise, but I would say there's no question they have to get through next weekend, hopefully in 2 and not 3, and maybe even get to the conference championship game, because there's probably going to be a little bit of a ding in that pairwise ranking after the tie tonight.
Well, it's that, and also what you don't know, if you're there in the pairwise, what happens if there's a couple upsets in conference championships. And we've talked about it before. Let's say the Big Ten champion, Gophers or Wisconsin, don't win it, and Penn State does, the number 6 seed. Well, they're in the tournament. Wisconsin's in, Michigan's in, the Gophers are in. All of a sudden, 4 of the 6 teams are in. That means that there is an at-large spot that won't be there. And any other conference, it works out that way with any other conference. So the Mavericks really need to make sure that they take care of business next weekend so that they're fine in the pairwise going into the Final Five. And let's be honest, go win the Final Five. Yeah. Win the Final Five, then you know you're in the tournament.
And they'll have a great shot at it. Obviously,
yes.
Mavericks have not lost at home this year. Well, they have the one loss, and now they have the one tie, but they should be the heavy favorite going into next weekend. And we hope that indeed is the case. And again, we will be with you Friday night, 6:30 the pregame show, 7 o'clock. Our version of the pregame show with the 7:07 face-off. The Mavericks taking on the number 7 seed. Looks like either Alaska Anchorage or Northern Michigan in the first round of the WCHA playoffs. We can close this one out tonight, so I need to thank Dan McCarger, myself, Don Westfall, and the rest of the students from Bethany Lutheran College for bringing you tonight's broadcast, a 1-1 tie between Minnesota State Mankato and Michigan Tech.